Okay, on the 47th day of occupation, and you now know this because of what the testimony, the explosive testimony at the Senate Homeland Security today, that essentially the Capitol Hill police and the Capitol Hill, the people in charge of security there, knew in advance, kind of with intel, what was going on. FBI knew what was going on. President Trump, I think it was testified today, ordered 10,000 National Guard troops to be deployed. All of this going on today, and yet they act like, oh, we didn't know, it got out of control, we don't know. But 47 days later, we still have 5,000 National Guard troops here, and razor wire and a wall all around the Capitol and other parts of Washington. You're in the war room. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of February, the year of our Lord 2021, as I said, the 47th day of the occupation. Podcast now with over 37 million. Of course, we're on Real America's Voice. That is Dish, Channel 219, Comcast, Channel 113, and streaming everywhere. Also, the John Fredericks Radio Network throughout the country. And on Rumble, Gab, Telegram, Roku, Pluto, all the different services. You can get it everywhere. And, of course, on GTV and G News in Mandarin. We've got a packed show. I want to go to the border. We've got Mike Lindell is going to follow us here very shortly, talk to us, update on the lawsuit. And then Peter Navarro to talk about Tony Fauci, the vaccine, the deployment of all of the vaccines, and also opening the schools, what's Fauci doing there, and the administration. Also, he will be talking about his new report on amnesty and on the border and on the economics of it. I want to go to Ben Bergquam from Real America's Voice. Ben, as I told you yesterday, he was with the Cowboys for Trump. They're on the border. So, Ben, where are you today, sir?
We are at the border. We're actually about 100 miles south of where we were yesterday. You can see some of the equipment behind me. I'm going to walk over this way real quick, and you can see the border wall off in the distance here. This large excavator. We've got the Caterpillars, the dozers out here. This is all part of the Will Scott Construction Company. Right across the street over here, if we turn the camera over here, we've got Border Patrol. And then we've got the shutdown Will Scott construction site. I was speaking to some of the contractors over there, and they told me that as soon as Biden took office, they shut down construction. 92 employees at this location were fired immediately. They've got 6 miles, if we bring the camera over here, got 6 miles of prepped wall construction available behind the. So if you see where the wall, come this way with me real quick, guys. Follow me over here behind this excavator. You can see off in the distance where the wall continues into the hillside over there. It actually ends there, but they've actually got cuts through the hillside, 6 miles of prepped ground for the wall. And they're told by the federal administration to shut down, to send all of their equipment back. This is one of 6 sites. It's actually one of the smaller ones from here to El Paso that has been shut down now. And what's crazy is now these ranchers that are behind me, this is all ranch land that we're standing on. All of this illegal crossings, all of the drug smuggling and sex trafficking, we're being told, has been all funneled into those mountains, which is logical. People don't want to cross a wall if they don't have to. Now it's prepped and ready. The ground is cleared. They've actually taken down the barricades in order to prep for the new wall. So there's nothing out there. So illegals can just simply walk across. And now even to go back and re-erect their fences, their barbed wire fences, to try to stop the inflow. But it is a disaster in the making. And talking to Border Patrol down here in regards to our comments yesterday, they said their biggest problem right now is they are not able to get DAs to prosecute re-entries. So we've got people, smugglers coming through. We've got cartel coyotes coming through. We've got drug traffickers coming through. And Border Patrol is saying the DAs aren't prosecuting. It is an absolute, utter disaster already in the making, and it's only going to get worse, Steve.
We're going to have Peter. We're going to actually have some of the White House press conference where Jen Psaki can't really answer any of the questions about what their border policy is and what they're actually doing down there. How concerned are the Border Patrol? The Border Patrol is the most Hispanic of any agency we've got. They're the heroes down there on the border. When you talk to the agents off camera, what is their sense of what's going on and what's going to happen?
I'd just say despair. I mean, these guys, they've been through it. They were here under Obama. They were here under catch and release. They were here at the first year of President Trump when they had waves of people coming through and there was nothing they could do. Their hands were tied. And then they were here when the light finally started to shine and we had the Remain in Mexico policy enacted, and they were actually able to do their job. What I'm hearing from the agents all across the border is there's one of two things. If they can retire, they're getting out now, and if they can't, it's almost like they just don't want to accept what is coming, and they know it's coming. It's depressing. The Border Patrol, there is a lack, just like we've seen in law enforcement across America. It is not a place that it's very hard to hire Border Patrol agents right now. Nobody wants to do it because you can't do your job.
Last question. You're down there you're in the Arizona side or the New Mexico side right now, Ben? I know yesterday you were in Arizona, down in that corner near New Mexico. Have you crossed over? You on the New Mexico side heading to El Paso?
Correct. Yep. We're making our way to El Paso. We'll be there tonight and tomorrow morning, seeing the influx that's going on there. So we started in Arizona. We're in New Mexico now, heading towards El Paso.
I just want to make sure the audience knows this. They took the Normandy fence down. They took the barbed wire down. They were prepping. They had the ground prep. They had everything go to put the wall up. You're saying it's a bunch of different sectors over. This one right here, 6 miles. But starting on January 20th, the word just went out, put your pencils down, no more construction. So right now, everything's prepped. But as far as you know, nothing's going to be built?
Correct. Not only is nothing being built, we were just across the street at the build site, again, where they housed 72 full-time employees. They've shut everything down. They sent all their employees away. And as we were driving in, they're shipping the materials out. Everything's moving, not just the Normandy fencing, but all of the prepped 30-foot wall, the hundreds. This is what people need to understand. American citizens need to understand. This is our tax dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars already allocated. The material's already here. It's on the ground. It's actually all set up. You can't see it in this shot right here, but we'll be getting that video to you later this afternoon. All of these sections already set on the ground, ready to go up, and they're having to ship it back, being told there's no more construction. The wall is over. They're not building anymore.
Ben, thank you so much for your report. How do people follow you on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, Gab, Telegram? How do people get to you to follow this journey? It's very important. We're going to have Ben back on the show tomorrow from El Paso. We rebuilt the wall, built that magnificent 3/4 of a mile right up the side of the mountain off the Rio Grande River. How do people follow you on your journey?
Well, I'm the only, as far as I know, the only Ben Bergquam in America. Last name Bergquam. If you Google it, you'll find me. Obviously, Real America's Voice News, reporting for them, and then Frontline America as well. So, but if you search Ben Bergquam, you'll find me.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much. We may try to get you for the end of the show at the end, but fantastic reporting. Thank you very much, Ben Bergquam. We're going to be covering the border extensively. There's another crisis, obviously, building down there right now. We're going to have every expert on talking about the amnesty bill, talking about how they're going to try to break it up into pieces, the politics of it, the economics of it, the impact on the country, and, of course, the human tragedy. Remember, right now, the cartels control the border. There's no way you can come across unaccompanied by cartel members, and this has become a massive business. This human trafficking is an absolute tragedy. What the people have to go through, they have to turn themselves over to the cartel, is absolutely insane. It's got to be stopped. The cartels have to be stopped. The only way to stop that is with a wall and with a reinforced Border Patrol. The men and women of Customs and Border are some of the most heroic members of our government and in our frontline law enforcement, and just incredible, incredible people. Okay, now I want to go to Mike Lindell, the patriotic, heroic CEO of My Pillow, but also the Lindell Recovery Network, which is a religious-centered, Christ-centered recovery network that he does as a charity, philanthropic. So you got sued. The news all over, Mike, is that, Dominion finally, I guess after you taunting them, finally delivered on a $1.3 billion lawsuit. I've read a lot of print, or starting to see some print media come out to cover this, but I just want to make sure I get this right. From yesterday at 10 o'clock, which we started the show with you on Monday morning at 10 after the lawsuit had been dropped by Dominion, and we have asked Dominion to come on also. I want to make sure we're giving a fair,
right.
Give them. But have you been? I haven't seen you on any television or any of the live stream. Have you been anywhere on TV? And if not, why not? About this, because this is a huge news story. Where are you on TV?
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I mean, I guess Dominion is still a swear word out there with all the news stations. Yesterday, I spent every single minute. They all nailed me again, but they wouldn't have me on. So you got your calls from. I talked to CNN. I talked to New York Times. I talked to Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, all the usual suspects, but none of them would have me on. And it's funny because I even said, did you guys bother and watch my movie, Absolute Proof? A couple of them I made go watch at least the short version before I would even talk to them. I go, how can you guys ask me stuff about Dominion when you haven't even watched what I had? And Steve, I told him, I did the analogy with him. I said, I want you guys to look at something here. If I was Dominion, let's say I have my pillows and I have some guy out there saying they put rocks and bolts in their pillow, in my pillow, I would say, hey, everybody, look inside my pillows. I would show them my factory and show them. But obviously, Dominion's got a different way of doing things, saying nobody can look at what we have. Nobody can look at what we have. Well, I welcome that lawsuit because now if they ever serve me, they got to serve me. And then I can put all the evidence there again for everybody to see. So it was a great day for America yesterday when they did serve me. But I want to say this, that they did something that, they're bad enough, for trying to ruin our country, which they're doing a good job, like your Border Patrol thing there, they report. But they went after my pillow. A company owned, employees owned stock, 2,500 employees, had nothing to do with what I'm out there, and they went and sued my pillow. Shame on you, Dominion. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace to our country. And I can't wait to get them in court.
Okay, there would say counter to that, Mike. They would say, "Hey, look, I understand. We don't want to go after the company. The guy keeps attacking us, but he's trying to destroy our company." What would you say, Mike? Because you have said that you're part of the group with Dr. Shiva and others that want to take away all voting machines in the United States, right? You think that we got to go back to paper ballots. So you're trying to.
Right, I'm making.
Go ahead.
I'm making pillows. They're making devices that were built to destroy countries. Their machines were built, starting with Smartmatic, with this feature on there to steal elections. So they're stealing the American dream, and I was the American dream with the, you can't ever. What they're doing is stealing the American dream. Where I come from, a life of addiction, to where I'm at now. That's the American dream. You can be anything you want to be here. You can dream. You can be that entrepreneur. You can do anything. They're part of this big theft, and it's happening real fast. Communism coming into our country and shutting us down.
Now, they say, and I think they use it 30 times, they actually say in the opening of their lawsuit, and by the way, I know they filed in federal court in D.C. and asked for a jury trial, right? Wanted to take Mike Lindell and have him talk, have him argue this in front of a jury. Have they served you too? I know they filed the lawsuit. Have they also individually served you? So
no, I have nothing.
Your attorneys have nothing.
No, they don't call, they don't write. I just, which I hope they serve me, and it's not just a big smoke and mirrors. Like, let's do this so Mike, so we scare more people. I really need them to serve me so that I can put the evidence out.
Hang on. Let's take a short commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk about how they've done and how they've frozen this. And also, you've challenged them that you're ready to go to court tomorrow morning. So I want to get into all the details here of your suit. Mike Lindell, CEO of My Pillow, will be return in a moment on War Room Pandemic.
It's all started, everything's begun, and you are over, 'cause we're taking down the CCP, spread the word all through Hong Kong, we will fight till they're all gone, we rejoice when there's no more, let's take down the CCP, they have all lied for too long, we will end what they do wrong, spread the word all through Hong Kong, let's take
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, our guest is Mike Lindell, CEO of My Pillow. Mike, essentially, if you look at the case, look, I'm not a lawyer, but if you summarize it, they spent a lot of time making a case that, hey, Lindell's no fool. He's a former card counter. He's prior to his conversion to Christianity, he's a card counter. He's a very sharp a gambler, but it's all about math. It's not about feel. It's about math. This guy's very smart, very astute, understands how things work in the business world. This whole thing the implication is you wouldn't be this stupid to believe the nonsense you're putting out there about the machines, but this whole thing's kind of a scam to con the deplorables, the audience of Worm and others that you're all, One America, Newsmax, Fox, all the speeches you give, you're on, conservative media nonstop, and they list out all the times you've been on there, that they imply that you're too smart to believe the nonsense you've been pushing, and you're doing it in a very cynical way to make more money. And that, in fact, you have made more money, and this whole thing was just a marketing scam, and you defamed their company and tore their company apart and pointed the finger at their company, knowing the entire time that you were basically just doing this to make more money. What say you, sir?
I say use the promo code Mike and you'll save up to 66% off all my products on my pillow. Okay. I mean, and that's true, people.
Well, so hold on. Our audience should do that, but hold on. Let's go. You were quoted, I think, in the Wall Street Journal that you've lost 20 big bucks. You lost 20 you lost 20 big bucks. I know, Lindell. You're getting as bad as Rudy.
Yeah,
hold on. You lost 20 big box 20 big box stores, $60 million in revenue. Is this your defense that it couldn't be that it's
over? Right. Well, what they're saying is rubbish. Obviously, everybody knows that. I lost 20 big box stores and retailers.
Why is it rubbish? Why is it rubbish? You're a pretty smart guy, and they're saying, "Hey, you've got no evidence. It's all assertions, and your business is on fire." So why is it rubbish?
Because we don't know the future, but we do know that $65 million worth of business I won't have this year that I had last year. That we do know. Now, am I going to do stuff to make up for that? I hope so. But I will tell you this. The rubbish part is if I got better things to do than go, you know what? I think if I go pick on this Dominion company or Smartmatic, I could make a lot more money. I mean, that's crazy.
But hang on a second. Have 20 big box stores. I remember we covered a protest outside of the Bath and Beyond, I think, in Boca Raton about a month ago or so.
Right.
Have 20 big box stores actually canceled? Are they not going to sit there and go, hey, the pillow's just not selling, or in fact, he has nuts and bolts in the pillows? Did they cancel all around the same time, and did they cancel because you were out there talking about election fraud?
Absolutely. And it's funny because the Wall Street Journal is doing a big article about me. And the gal called me back and she said, I reached out to these box stores and a lot of them just say this because sales were slow. And I'm going, okay, let's just say you go ahead and print that if that's what they're telling you. But I'm telling you from the first one, which I got an email from HEB saying it's because I'm out there talking about machine election fraud. And between January 12th and January 20th, from the first time I brought out the evidence on January 12th, and 20 box stores and retailers dropped. Coincidence? I've never had one ever drop, ever, where, just out of the blue, all 20 of them say, you know what? Can we just, maybe we'll do business with you in the future. We usually do our ordering by, through a sales rep, and these VPs and CMOs were getting on the phone and going, okay. And I go, let's just cut through the chase. You can sell my pillow products because of what I'm saying on there. One of the CEOs said, Mike, could you just stop talking about Dominion and election fraud and machine election fraud? I said, no, if you knew what I had, you would do the same thing. Any American would. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. If we have these machines, everybody, I'm telling you, borders, nothing's going to matter. You have to start now with the foundation and get rid of the machines and get this election pulled down. There's so many things that, these attacks.
Yeah, hang on for a second. So we had in the morning show some bad news from Georgia where the legislation is not really going through on voter integrity. We've got terrible news from Sam Faddis, the former CIA guy, about Pennsylvania. The legislature there is not really getting on top of this. So for our audience, the Supreme Court, I know you held out a lot of hope, and Sidney Powell and others held out a lot of hope for the Supreme Court. A Trump basically appointed Supreme Court passed yesterday, no interest. Only Judge Thomas gave it a brilliant but short dissenting opinion. Is there any hope you can give people about November 3rd of actually getting to the bottom of it? And are you still committed to putting out additional evidence, not just to defend yourself in this lawsuit, but actually to try to get to what exactly happened so that you can show evidence, not assertions? Are you still committed to do that?
I'm never stopping, and it will come to fruition. That stuff that went before the Supreme Court is not what I have. If you go to lindelltv.com, what's there, that absolute proof is there. I have all, now we have a lot more stuff we're going to be putting out, and which I can't say here, but I will tell you, everything that went to that Supreme Court is not what you can go look on absolute proof. This evidence came out on January 9th when I first seen it. I've done a deep dive. I'm 100% that this will get out. The proof is out there. The truth will get told. And now they'll say, well, Mike, when's something going to happen? You'll see. You will see. There's a plan now in action. And I want everybody to keep the faith. And I'm going to put out about every 3 or 4 days reports on lindelltv.com. I'll put it out there, and I'll come on here. You know, Steve, your show's the only consistent thing I have, unless I do something bombastic or something happens. And now the mainstream media doesn't have me on TV anyway.
We would never say you're bombastic. We would never say that. But no, we do try. That's what we did the 3 hours. Look, we try to push back. We try to get the Dominion guys because we think this is absolutely critical for the Republic. We've never really been the machine guys. We think there's enough of the low-hanging fruit, although I think there is a big question about overall machines. Why do you need them anyway? I think that's got to be vetted, whether it's throughout the country. But I think for you, because you have staked, look, Dominion, and they got serious lawyers. It was obviously serious filing. It's $1.3 billion. I would also argue, if smart lawyers I've talked to, kind of their previous lawsuits and letters they sent people, they didn't back you off. But you got to think it's been kind of a freeze on this. Mike Lindell can't even get booked. I don't see you on Newsmax. I don't see you on One America. Certainly don't see you on Fox. The Wall Street Journal, I think, reported, and I'm just quoting from the Wall Street Journal, that the Tucker Show's 1/3 of the total advertising revenue on Tucker Show comes from MyPillow. I don't see you doing a lot of primetime Fox. So the legal strategy of Dominion appears to have worked. Has it not, Mr. Lindell?
Well, that's part of the cancel culture. You've canceled out you've had bots and trolls attack the retailers, so they've dropped, they've been scared. All the mainstream media is scared. Oh, we're going to get sued. You know, have me on. I'd even go back on Anderson Cooper when he attacked me for the Oleander. CNN, have me on, CNN. I'll come on there with Dominion right on there. I'll come into your own court. I don't care. I mean, you have the truth. There's only one truth, and they don't want the truth out there. This is a contrived thing by Dominion. Look at it. Smartmatic sues Fox so that they get rid of Lou Dobbs, so nobody can talk about any of the machines. Why
do you say it's contrived? And the fact that you are going after these guys to basically put them out of business, right? I mean, you can't deny that. You're going to the heart of the thing. So why do you say their lawsuits are contrived?
Because they're just to keep the evidence that we have from talking about Dominion and talking about and getting the word out that this is a threat to our country forever. You'll never have another election in the world if these machines are allowed. But hang on,
I just want to go one part in the film where you said stuff's going across international things. They're going to servers all over the place. They say, hey, don't even go across county lines. Haven't they called your bluff to the degree? Because you get full. Am I wrong? Don't you get full discovery in this? Isn't this the reason you kept goading them on to sue you? You get now discovery. So don't you think
when they sue me, even in my
go ahead.
When they sue me, but they can delay and delay. They did it for multiple reasons, but they have to actually serve me so that I can reply, and then I can show evidence, and it's public record. Everybody can go there. They can't shut it down like they did our when I put out the movie. In your mind's eye, have they called your bluff? Because they're open up to discovery now. Have they said, "Hey, Mike, we're suing you. Come and get some," right? Right. I know that was a great day for me yesterday, other than when the attack on my pillow, which they should have left that out. Just come after me. I was very happy when I woke up and they said they've sued you. Now they got to follow through and serve me the papers, Dominion. Make sure you serve me, because I can't do anything, Steve, till they sue me. And granted, I'm not, when you say put them out of business, I'm trying to save our country from what happened to us. And so it's all exposed because our country was attacked by foreign foreign actors and domestic actors. They all got to come. It's all got to be taken apart and shown. Here's what happened. Here's what really happened. Okay. And then for the future, you never use machines anywhere. It's got to be one vote, one thing. Everything starts with our elections.
We got to bounce. We got to bounce. 30 seconds. How do people get to the film or any of your updates? It's MikeLindellTV.com. Is that where they go?
No. LindellTV.com. LINDELL TV.com. LindellTV.com. I'm going to put updates there. Add evidence. We're just going to go all in, everybody.
Okay, we'll have you back on. We want the Dominion guys on, too. So, Mike, thank you very much for getting up to date. The audience obviously follows everything you do, so we really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. God bless you all.
Talking about the cyber attack and the foreign power, Mike Lindell keeps pointing the finger at the Chinese Communist Party. 2 individuals sanctioned personally by the Chinese Communist Party, Peter Navarro, will join Stephen K. Bannon after a short commercial break talking about Dr. Fauci, the border. Also might talk a little bit about this lawsuit when we return in the War Room.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Made worse is about mask wearing. The evidence was pretty compelling by last March or April that uniform wearing of masks would reduce transmission of this disease. A mask is nothing more than a life-saving medical device, and yet it got categorized in all sorts of other ways that were not factual, not scientific, and frankly dangerous. And I think you could make a case that tens of thousands of people died as a result.
There's a lot of confusion among people and misinformation surrounding face masks. Can you discuss that?
The masks are important for someone who's infected to prevent them from infecting someone else. Now, when you see people and look at the films in China and South Korea, whatever, everybody's wearing a mask. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often, there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask, and they keep touching their face.
The fact that I, Meghan McCain, co-host of The View, I don't know when or how I will be able to get a vaccine because the rollout for my age range and my health is so nebulous. I have no idea when and how I can get it. I want to get it. If you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I will go any place at any time to get it. I want to be responsible and obviously wait my turn. But this rollout has been a disaster. And I understand, obviously, President Trump can take much of the blame. But now we're in the Biden administration. I, for one, would like something to look forward to and to hope for, because if getting the vaccine means that just nothing changes and we have to wait another few years till everyone gets it, there's already a lot of people not getting it. We're already having a messaging problem getting people to take this vaccine. So I'm over Dr. Fauci. I think we need to have more people giving more opinions. And I honestly, quite frankly, I think the Biden administration should remove him and put someone else in place that maybe does understand science or can talk to other countries about how we can be more like these places that are doing this successfully.
Tony, when you lose Meghan McCain, it's like losing Walter Cronkite during the Vietnam War, right? I'm going to bring in now Dr. Peter Navarro. Doctor, you know this whole situation with Fauci better than anybody, and it's getting to be this is another crisis that the Biden administration is now, I think, completely – people are completely and totally confused. We follow this every second and every day, and we're confused, right, about one hand says one thing, another. But –
yeah, he's go ahead.
Well, just in bringing Peter Navarro, I got to say – I don't think I've had a heckle like I've ever had by Mike Lindell. I'm sitting there summarizing the case saying, they basically say you're a brilliant card counter, you're a brilliant, gambler, odds, math, this audience is a bunch of rubes, and you're this whole thing you can't possibly believe because you're lying about it. You have no facts, no assertions. And it's a scam to make more money. That's all this is, a scam to make more money, and that's why we're taking you to court. We're going to sue you because you defamed us to make more money. And he comes back and says, I said, what do you say to that? He gives the promo code to go order some fellas. I've been heckled before by guests. That is the best heckle I've ever had. Yeah. Mike Lindell is a true honey badger, a true honey. I know Media Matters probably melting down, but this Fauci thing is as serious. And I know the American people, not all of them understand what they owe Dr. Peter Navarro. Dr. Navarro that wrote about this 14 years ago in his book about these pandemics and these plagues that would come out of central China. No fault of the Chinese people. This is because of the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA. And to see Fauci now, and that was one example. We got more examples we're coming out with, but that was where on Axios, the first question they asked Collins, who's Fauci's boss, was, tell us about the mask. He goes, hey, we had the evidence back in March, and that comes off studies. Yeah. They just don't one day sit in and say, hey, look, we saw the morning overnights and we got evidence. No, it was they were doing analysis of this. This is in March. Fauci's on 60 Minutes. And the guy sits there and goes, hey, everybody's hanging on your every word. This is when everybody was long Fauci, right? This is almost peak Fauci, right? And they're hanging on. And he completely dismisses the wearing of masks. This is what and Meghan McCain, I think, summarizes it now because you can't the guys on one day it's 2 masks, the next day you take a vaccine, you can't hug your grandkids.
Steve, it's worse than that because what we now know ex post is the reason why Fauci was saying that it was an ends justifies the means. He decided rationally to lie directly to the American people about masks for the greater good, in his judgment, of saving a shortage of mask supply for first responders, okay? And he fessed up to that later. But the takeaway from that, Steve, is simply that you can never trust whatever comes out of Anthony Fauci's mouth. If he is willing to do that in the middle of a crisis where Collins, on the one hand, his boss is saying do just the opposite, all credibility, all hope is lost. Let me show you the background today for your radio audience. I got a little Fauci here scratching his head. He's trying, mask or no mask, to be or not to be. Am I passive today or aggressive today? And then, the headline here is U.S. taxpayer money funded Wuhan lab research, ? Exclamation point. Here's the thing, the latest, here's Fauci's shtick, okay? He's on CNN, I think it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And the headline in CNN is like, Fauci blames President Trump for killing a bunch of people because of his attitude towards the virus.
Hey, hold on. Hang on.
I
want to play it.
Let me set it up for you.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but let me set it up for you, okay? Because what he always does is he goes, oh, I don't want to say anything bad about the president, but boom! Come on, Tony, play the clip. I'd love to hear it.
Can we play the clip? The CNN one where yesterday from where he talks about
passive aggressive. Yeah. This is
when you go back when we replay now exactly a year ago, President Trump saying we have it very much under control. We've had no deaths. The next day he said it's very well under control in our country. A few days later he said everything's under control. We're very, very cool. We've done it very well. Everything's really under control. Do you think that his denial and lack of facts contributed to this level of loss?
Well, I think I'm uncomfortable going back and directly criticizing, but it's really almost self-evident, Allison, that when you're trying to signal the country to really buckle down and address the kinds of mitigation strategies that we put forth, the wearing of masks, the physical distancing, the avoiding congregate settings, the kinds of things that I and many of the other public health people who were there trying to get the country to appreciate the things that we were trying to do all throughout the entire outbreak. The thing that I remember very clearly is when we were trying to open up the country, open up the economy, and to do it carefully with the gateway, the phase 1, the phase 2, the phase 3. I was hoping that we would see a unified approach towards all doing that together. And when signals come saying this isn't so bad, we're in pretty good shape, when we're saying we're not, we being the health people, that was not helpful, because the people who wanted to deny that this is something that was serious, when you get a signal from above that it might not be, then you don't do the kinds of things.
Okay, so Dr. Navarro.
All right,
I can only take.
This is noise. Okay, this is nothing but noise from this guy. Let's go back to January 28th. Never met the guy before. I walk into the Situation Room. POTUS tells me to argue the travel ban on China. And the one guy in the room, the most pompous, arrogant, I just can't describe this guy. He's the guy who's saying travel restrictions don't work and adamantly fighting me. It's him, it's Azar, it's Redfield, it's Mulvaney down the end of the table. And it's like, if he was in charge, Steve, he would have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans with that decision, maybe millions. And repeatedly, this guy has blood on his hands. He's passive aggressive. I watched him time after time get up in press briefings.
But hold on.
I want to go. I want to stick a knife in him. I want
to be specific. I think the thing he said later about this mask, about I did it on purpose to make sure. I think that's a lie. The one he admits to a lie, I think it's a lie. Did he at ever any time?
Interesting. Yes.
No, hang on. Back on that 8th, remember, we called the President of the United States from the Oval Office. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think on the 11th of March, Wednesday, the 11th of March. Can somebody check that date? The President goes before the nation. Only the second time to Trump, and only the 2 times in his entire administration did he address the nation from the Oval Office to declare, I think, a national emergency, and also say he was shutting down air traffic from Europe, right? Because, Burks, did Tony Fauci at any time around that 60 Minutes interview, say that he had that there was a crisis with the PPE with that mask, and he had to go out and kind of mislead and get sign off? Remember, you had a task force where guys just able to freelance. Can you just be rogue? Can you just go freelance? Hey, I think what I'm going to go do is just go to make up something and lie to the American people.
Just remember, Tony Fauci was riding the World Health Organization CCP train. Okay?
100%.
Catsimatidis in January. He gets on the tube in February. Low risk, nothing to worry about. He's the Delphic Oracle. He's a passive-aggressive Delphic Oracle. Like, whatever comes out of his mouth, people want to read into it, whatever they want to read into it to feel good. But this man is the most dangerous person in Joe Biden's bureaucracy. And Meghan McCain is absolutely right. It's time he goes. I said back in February 2020, right to the boss, get this guy out of here. And it was based on 2 meetings with him, first in the Situation Room and then another one subsequent to that. Every time I talked to him, he had it exactly wrong. And he was dangerous. And the fact that he strangle that baby in the crib kind of thing. We didn't do that. And now Fauci, somehow he's an icon. People wake up here. That man is dangerous.
This causes the phoniness of the science, evidence-based, CNN and MSNBC. It's anything but. It's all emotions.
And Wuhan Lab. Hey, see what's behind me here? Here, Mr. Bannon?
Yeah.
Okay? If in fact it was Anthony Fauci who not only gave taxpayer money to this Wuhan lab over many years, but also said, hey, do your gain-of-function research, bat lady, and come up with a virus that can kill 500,000 Americans. Have at it, okay? If that's on his hands as well, it's not tens of thousands of Americans he's killed people around the world.
We're investigating right now.
Blood on his hands.
How did Tony Fauci reverse the Obama administration's policy of get out of the gain-of-function business? This gain of function is extremely dangerous and has to be very tightly controlled.
Quick inside baseball as we go to the break, Steve, here. It's the big pharma people that kept him in there for like 40 years in his office, right? And they're the people who he feeds at their trough. And that's how these things cascade and happen. And the gain of function stuff, plays into international big pharma, and he's their puppet, their tool, their passive-aggressive man who basically tried to take down a president of the United States with his lies.
We're going to take a short break. Like I said, when you lose Meghan McCain, who's been one of the cheerleaders on The View, I think you're beginning to lose it. Fauci, the Biden administration is going to give the hook to Fauci. We're going to take a short commercial break and return with Dr. Peter Navarro in a moment.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Why is the Biden administration reopening a temporary facility for migrants in Texas?
Well, first, the policy of this administration, as you well know, but just for others, is not to expel unaccompanied children who arrive at the border. And the process, how it works, is that Customs and Border Control continue to transfer unaccompanied children to the HHS Office of Refugee Resettlement. That can take a couple of days. I just want to give this context because people need to understand the process. But because of COVID-19 protocols, the social distancing requirements, the capacity of existing Office of Refugee Resettlement shelters has been significantly reduced because, of course, you can't have a child in every bed. There needs to be spacing, and we abide by those spacing to protect the kids who are living in those facilities for a short period of time. And to ensure the health and safety of these kids, HHS took steps to open an emergency facility to add capacity where these children can be provided the care they need before they are safely placed with families and sponsors. So it's a temporary reopening during COVID-19. Our intention is very much to close it, but we want to ensure that we can follow COVID protocols as unaccompanied minors come into the United States.
But it's the same facility that was open for a month in the Trump administration, summer 2019. That is when Joe Biden said, under Trump, there have been horrifying scenes at the border of kids being kept in cages. And Kamala Harris said, basically, babies in cages is a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government. So how is this any different than that?
We very much feel that way. These are facilities. Let me be clear here. One, there's a pandemic going on. I'm sure you're not suggesting that we have children right next to each other in ways that are not COVID safe, are you?
I'm suggesting that Kamala Harris said that this facility, putting people in this facility, was a human rights abuse committed by the United States government, and Joe Biden said, under Trump, there have been horrifying scenes of at the border of kids being kept in cages. Now, it's not under Trump, it's under Biden.
This is not kids being kept in cages. This is kids. This is a facility that was opened that's going to follow the same standards as other HHS facilities. It is not a replication, certainly not. That is never our intention of replicating the immigration policies of the past administration.
Dr. Peter Navarro, the assistant to the president for manufacturing and trade, has a new report out about the economics of the southern border. You've got to get to it, but I got to have your response right there of Jen Psaki. Dr. Navarro, since you were in the eye of the storm back in 2019, what say you about her response?
Yeah, and kids in cages goes up to the top of the charts for the Biden administration, just like it did when they hit us back in the day in the Trump administration. I mean, come on, that's the dissembling. You steal a Cadillac label off a Cadillac, you throw it on a Volkswagen, it's still a Volkswagen. So the bigger issue here, like when did illegal aliens become refugees? Huh? This is what you buried the lead, Ben, and you didn't even catch that one. That one was like, whoa, I just got hit with a big blast of air there. Wow, okay. All the millions of people coming over the border now are refugees. Boy, that has a very specific meaning at the State Department, and that does not bode well. Read the report, peternavarro.com. Here's the thing. I can't say this enough. Over 10 million Americans unemployed right now, most of them clustered in the working class blue-collar occupations. More than 2 million illegal aliens are going to stream over in 2021, at least that many or more in 2022, based on the opening of the border by the Biden administration and this is going to hit right at the heart of MAGA, right at the heart of the working class of America, even as it harms taxpayers, even as it overcrowds our schools. And these refugees, they are coming.
I just want to be, this is going to destroy Hispanic and working class African American families with this onslaught. Real quickly, about a minute. Do you see a crisis? We started with Ben Bergquam at the border with a live report. They've laid down their pencils. The guys have stopped construction of the border. The fence is right there. It's all gone. It's being pulled back. Do you think, Dr. Navarro, that we're hurtling towards a crisis on the southern border driven by Joe Biden's policies?
Yeah, elections have consequences. This is why Donald Trump needed a second term. Finish the wall, get to a merit-based system of immigration so that immigration can do what it did historically in America, which is lift this country up rather than push it down. There's no question we're going to have the mother of all crises. And you have to wonder, we're in an economic crisis and a pandemic crisis. And rather than address either one of those, the first thing out of the gate Biden does is open up the borders in the same breath that he's doing the climate change issue and canceling the Keystone Pipeline, right? I mean, there's no sense of proportion here. And I remember when he and Obama took over in 2009, they just didn't understand what the nature of our economic problems were. They just threw money at it, and they're going to try to throw money at it again. But I'm telling you, Steve, my prediction, real wages will not go up for the next 4 years, particularly for blue-collar, working-class Americans. Hispanic Americans are going to revolt against Biden. Black Americans are going to revolt against Biden. And the blue wall states, where we have our manufacturing base, are going to crumble once again, both in 2022 and 2024. But the big challenge, Steve, is in 2022 is make sure we get a House of Representatives that's MAGA Republican, not Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy Republican, Trump MAGA. Republican.
Trump MAGA. Okay, I want everybody out there to be empowered. Hang on, Doctor. Everybody out there, we've had over 5,500 people go to the precinctproject.wordpress.com. Go there now. Find out how you can become empowered. Maximize your agency. Go to the precinctproject.wordpress.com. Find out how to be a precinct committeeman. Real quickly, we got 30 seconds. How do people get the report? You've got to get Navarro's report and spread it to your friends. How do you get it, Doctor?
PeterNavarro.com, the website PeterNavarro.com, and check out Real P Navarro on Twitter as I constantly update things there. So PeterNavarro.com. Zuckerberg can't take that down, I don't think.
Okay, they may try. Okay, Dr. Navarro, you're a patriot and a hero. We'll be back at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to have more explosive exposés. We'll talk to you about it tomorrow morning in the War Room at 10 a.m.